Hi, my name is Alex, and as the title will suggest, I'm going to talk to you about some of the illnesses that I have, but in particular, I'm going to talk to you about mental illness such as depression, anxiety, and health anxiety that I had suffered from and still suffer with today. But first, I'm going to talk to you about my experience with having gastritis. And there's a reason why I talk about gastritis first before I talk about the mental illness. I guess if these videos get to be too long, then I will make different parts to the videos so that it's not an hour-long thing. This is George, and he's probably going to try to bother me while I make this video. Okay, let's get your bone. So just to start, I guess, with the gastritis. Well, first, actually, before I even go into any, the reason why I want to make this video and this series of videos is in part because I think it's good for people to talk and to share their issues and things that they've suffered through. Because it just kind of helps people. There might be someone out there who thinks that they're alone because these illnesses, especially mental illness, can be very isolating and debilitating. And so it's good that if people are able to share through whatever platform they can the experiences that they've had, then I think that kind of helps end any stigmas that might be out there. Another reason also is because of certain stigmas that surround men and mental illness, and it's getting better, but the idea is that if you're a guy and you have mental illness, it's just because you're either weak or you're just, you got to be tougher, or you just got to man up, or this or that, and several other issues such as men not going to the doctor as much, and they're not getting diagnosed with their possible mental illness, and just stuff like that. Because I know that from watching people on YouTube talk about mental illness and other things, that it's helped me. So, but first, we'll start with the gastritis, and then I guess kind of once I end on the gastritis, then I'll start a different part that goes into mental illness. So a couple years ago, in the summer of 2017, I had this, probably at the end of July, I just had this really bad bout of nausea. It was persistent. It would start and stay for maybe like an hour or two, and then it would go away for a few hours, then it would come back. And this would happen every day for several weeks. But I was actually home by myself taking care of our dogs. My mom was out of town, and my dad was at a business conference. So that week I was by myself dealing with this. And when you get nausea at first, your first thoughts are generally, it's just stomach flu, or you just ate something bad, or it's food poisoning, or it's something like this. But for me, it was just this bad nausea that was just wouldn't go away. It's hard to describe why it was worse. It was more painful for some reason. It was just uncomfortable. But I never threw up anything. I never had any kind of vomit other than the first few days if I ate too much. And that was another symptom that I noticed, was that I was actually getting full a lot quicker. So I would eat something, and then I would just feel this tightness kind of in my upper abdomen and my stomach area, just tightness, and you just felt full a lot faster. So fast forward a couple of days in, and I was basically just really tired of this. I mean, I was sleeping all day, not doing anything. I was supposed to move away in a week, so I told my dad, look, I'm this close to going to the ER or urgent care to figure out what's going on, because this is ridiculous, and the problem is I don't have the insurance card or anything else to really pay for how expensive it might be. So that weekend we went to urgent care, and that day I was diagnosed with acute gastritis. The issue was the cause. We didn't know what the cause of the gastritis was. So there's typically two causes. Well, yeah, there's two causes. So the first one is the H. pylori bacteria. And it's a bacteria that I think it already lives in your gut, but it could be triggered or something, and it could cause inflammation, which is what gastritis is. Gastritis is inflammation of your stomach. And the other cause is basically just like a jumble of stuff. So it could be basically lifestyle factors. So stress, anxiety, poor diet, alcohol, and also taking over-the-counter medications like pain medication, so Advil, basically. And so for me, it was sort of an assumption that it was likely stress, anxiety, poor diet. Because I had just graduated from college, basically going to school every semester almost nonstop. I was a week away from moving to a bigger city after living in this smallish town area for 22 years. I was going from living by myself to living with 5 other people, moving to a larger city, and going back to basically not having any friends, really. I've always had social anxiety and been really quiet, so I always had a hard time having friends. Plus my diet was poor, so with my one friend we would go to the bar that summer like every week, and we would drink, and I didn't really drink that much, but for me and my norm, I was drinking more than usual, and I was eating bad. So add in all of that stress, and then plus anxiety of going back to not really having any friends and having to make new friends again, and going to a larger city, driving in more traffic, and going to a bigger school with more students, and just all of this stuff just kind of piled on. And that to me is what caused the gastritis. But to be certain, I needed to have an endoscopy done, which is where they stick a tube with a camera down your throat and check your upper gastrointestinal system. And so fast forward to the end of August, I didn't really have that much nausea anymore. It was just a little bit. It took a month for the nausea to really kind of simmer down, and had my endoscopy at the end of August, and I was diagnosed with chronic gastritis. Even though the results yielded nothing, basically, there's no sign of H. pylori, and there's pretty much no sign of any inflammation whatsoever. But at the same time, like I said, my nausea was going away, so maybe it kind of cleared up by then. So just to kind of touch on other stuff, if you've had gastritis before, or if you think you might have gastritis, the worst symptoms for me were nausea and not being able to eat that much. So I couldn't even eat peanut butter toast. The thought of putting peanut butter on my toast was bad. That's how bad my nausea was. Like, it would make me feel sick to my stomach just thinking about it. So I would eat crackers, I would eat little bits of soup, I would drink ginger ale and Gatorade, and it was bad. It was really bad. Oh, it got better, mostly because of the medication I was taking. I was taking the usual stuff to kind of control gastritis, like antacids. I was taking a medication that coats my stomach lining. But I was on Zofran for a bit for the nausea for like 2 days, and it didn't work at all when it first had gastritis in the beginning, and the Zofran didn't work at all. And so I had to start taking hydroxyzine, which is a antihistamine. Is used to control anxiety, nausea, itchiness, and stuff. And I credit that with allowing me to be able to eat and not throw up, and me being able to not continue to lose so much weight, because I had lost, probably in a matter of weeks, like 25 pounds, because I was basically not eating. I would maybe less than 500 calories in a day, and for over a week before I finally started like being able to eat more because of the hydroxyzine. So in terms of the gastritis, I don't think I have it anymore. I was diagnosed with chronic gastritis, meaning that it can flare up again, basically. Like, it's not gonna completely go away. So I'm usually always careful about what I eat. Generally, I guess I've had a kind of a poor diet lately. I don't really drink anymore at all. But it's just kind of something that I had for a while. I really didn't know what the heck was happening, and that gave me a lot of anxiety. But it can be really tough to deal with, because you don't know what's going on. Is it really gastritis? Because for a while there I was thinking, okay, this person's telling me it's gastritis, but what if it's something else? Until I had the endoscopy that kind of confirmed that it wasn't anything really sinister. It was inflammation, basically. But basically the things that I did was just continue to take the medications, and it doesn't heal up overnight at all. It takes time for it to heal up, and it's difficult because you feel like you're on edge a little bit. You're kind of walking on eggshells because you want to. There are days where you feel good and you want to eat pizza, or you want to eat something real greasy or something. That's going to be more satisfying than the chicken and rice or the plain baked chicken that you've been eating for the past 2 weeks. But for me, I kind of stopped myself from ever going that far and actually eating anything that I felt like could trigger the gastritis again, or make me feel bad. So if you have gastritis, or you think you have gastritis, of course you need to go see your doctor and kind of get it confirmed about what the cause is, but also understand that it is not something that's cured overnight. It takes time. It takes months, weeks, and for some people, unfortunately, I've read and heard about it, takes years even, because it's a difficult thing to just kind of cure and take care of. Majority of the time it clears up, but it can be difficult. But I think the most difficult part is just the getting used to the new diet that you're on. And it wasn't even just the new diet. It was my B12 levels were getting low. I had to take B12. I had to take vitamin D, probiotics, just lots of other stuff to just kind of keep me going. But eventually I got better, and so I don't really deal with the stomach inflammation or the feelings of being too full so quickly. But what I'm going to go into here in part 2 and maybe another part after that is mental illness. And you'll see, if you watch the part 2, you'll see why I talk about gastritis and then mental illness, because there's sort of some connection that goes on. But thanks for watching this, and I'm sorry that I kind of rambled on or kind of jumped around everywhere, but I'm not. This is a little bit spontaneous to do this, and I don't really feel like editing the videos, so I'll just probably leave this as is, and hopefully see you in part 2.